Let me get into my files real quick and check and see if we managed to get that. I'd be surprised if we did, but might as well be disappointed right off the bat. Let me see. 411. Nope. Damn, that sucks. I'm so fucking mad. That was a good fucking. You were going on about the fucking basketball and everything. Yeah. Son of a gun. All right, folks. Well,
I brought out the Arvidas a bonus fucking deep. I was going deep on
with his Lithuanian fucking his dad playing in the NBA too and everything. Well, I'll just start the cold open right now, then, folks. If you're just tuning in, both Brandon and I are incredibly disappointed because of a freak incident with my power strip. My computer died while we were recording not even the intro anymore. Like, we were already like
Let's just be real. I got a little too real about Songye-dong and the Communist Chinese Party, and they don't like it.
They sniped us. I thought I saw what looked like a Chinese balloon overhead my house earlier today.
Bing Chiling.
Bing Chiling.
For sure, I'm gonna have to do the John Cena. Bing Chiling.
Yeah, so we lost like 30 minutes of content, but silver lining, none of it was about NBA. It was all about none of it was about MMA. Excuse me. It was all about Sacramento Kings and the NBA playoffs, and I was letting Brandon go off about that because it's timely. But
basically, don't Google Draymond Green Snapchat mistake 2016. Nobody Google that.
I fucking hate that you sent that to me too, dude. It wasn't really a problem.
You let out a lot of shaft in that.
Yeah, it wasn't really a problem, but I wanted to be a fucking diva and be like, oh, dude, NSFW. And I thought to myself, like, this motherfucker's at work too sending that. So I
was like sitting next to my son, was like sitting in my lap.
All right, so we're gonna go right out the gates talking about MMA now. Sorry, you guys all missed that. Maybe one day we'll.
The things you don't want to do is you don't ask a man his salary, you don't ask a woman how old she is, and you don't ask Steph Curry his involvement in the FTX financial fraud, the largest fraud that's ever been perpetrated in modern history. Don't ask Steph Curry about how he's involved in that. No one else has, so don't worry about it. Don't even look it up.
Was that the same thing that that like a lot of other athletes were promoting as far as like the crypto stuff? Wasn't Tom Brady involved with that too?
I think Steph and Brady, it was a little deeper than just as far as like, oh yeah, I'll be on the commercial, or yeah, I'll retweet it. It was more like active recruit like people into it and kind of give his inner circle and people that he knew and like brought them in, and they lost a lot of money. Also, don't ask Steph Curry and his wife about how they're like these. They will go on the camera and they will point in your face and tell you about how you need to make sure that you're doing the right thing by underprivileged people. America is so shitty because they don't take care of underserved and kind of minority group families and citizens. But then literally they try to build a housing development like within a 20-mile radius of where they blocked it. They used an insane amount of money to block like lower class people, like I guess lower totem pole, like lower income housing, because where they live in San Francisco is insane to live there. So they're building this development, and they said, yeah, we don't want that, block it. They can't be here. Crazy. So
no multifamily housing anywhere near that.
Don't ask about that.
Don't do it, guys. This is a real warning. This might sound like one of those things where we're saying don't ask about it, but we really kind of want you to ask about it.
Don't look into it. They won't. No. But Stephen A. Smith will tell you. He'll tell you till the cows come home about just how amazing it is, the legacy, everything else. But when it comes to one of the largest financial frauds in American history, and Steph Curry's definitely involved in it, don't worry about it. As far as blocking people from like getting a chance to at least live, and they're actually, Steph Curry isn't a Bay Area native. These housing developments would have helped Bay Area natives who are getting priced out of living there,
Brandon,
because of people like Steph Curry.
Brandon,
they can't do it because
Brandon, where in the Constitution does it say that we have a right to live in the Bay Area? I mean,
no,
really?
But I'm saying, and you don't, and we live in a capitalist society, so just make more money, dummy. But
exactly, homeless, buy a house.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is, I have that view also, and I probably, if I had a $30 million home, I probably wouldn't want Section 8 housing or anything like that closer to mine. I get it, but on the side of it, I wouldn't go on TV and tell you you're a piece of shit because you're not actively doing everything you can for people like that. And
it's the
when it comes down, when it comes down to it, hey. But he gets a pass for not. Like the NBA media in general will talk about anything else. So it's pretty crazy.
Got to put balls in hoops, man. That's what matters. You got to put the balls in the hoops, and you got to swing from the balls too. Whoa! I mean, what do you expect Stephen A. to be talking about with his hands full of nutsack because he's swinging so hard from those balls?
One of the crazier moments in sports history, and I think I've shared this story with you, and I don't know, I might have shared this on the pod. So it was one for my birthday. The Kings were playing the Warriors. It was Steph Curry's second year in the league, and this is back in Arco Arena, and he hadn't had a great. Even the Warriors fans really didn't like him. He was injured a lot, bad ankles. He was kind of off to a bad start. The Kings beat the Warriors that night, right? And I ran to where the players go in. I was so drunk. It was my birthday. And Arco is very small, and like NBA, you can really say things to people and they can hear it.
Yeah.
So I looked, Steph Curry.
Yeah, they're not in a dugout or anything like in the MLB.
Yeah, he was walking right in, and I ran and I go, hey, man, the NBA, and this is dumb on my part now because Steph Curry is one of the greatest players that ever lived. So, but I'm like, I was so drunk, dude. I was like, well, and Steph Curry's brother played for Duke, which is a like prestigious college basketball institution. He played for Davidson, and he was just playing shitty and not shitty, but just was not worth what they said he was going to be. Not anywhere close to where he's at now. And I was like, well, at least your brother's going to Duke, so your parents don't have to sweat it, Steph. And I looked him right in his face, and then he just goes, what the fuck? He looked at me like, dude, who are you, dude? Like, that's fucked up. Because Steph's dad played. Also, don't look up Steph Curry.
Jesus Christ!
Don't look up Steph Curry's mom and dad and who they're currently dating now.
Yeah,
don't look that up. Very strange. Have you heard this? Have you heard this about Steph Curry?
I don't even know if I want to. We have to actually do an MMA podcast.
Okay. I mean, let's do it after this.
I think it's actually more interesting when you could leave some mystery, and you actually give people a reason to be like, "Oh, why shouldn't I?"
For the great people, I'm sorry. My computer was the one that crashed. Let's just call it what it is, dude. I'm just going to say it. Del Curry, Steph Curry's dad, and his mom, they fucking divorced not too long ago. They go to their son's games with their significant others.
I have heard about
their
that.
Significant others were also married and divorced. So it's like this crazy fucking Texas tornado cuck fucking they guaranteed they've shared a spot, and then they go watch their son's games with their. It's so weird. It's the weirdest fucking thing.
I think it's very healthy. I think it's very progressive. I think that it's very mature of them, and I think that it's the kind of activities that you would find in more MMA fan marriages than you would expect.
Yeah,
I think that's kind of our demographic. I think there's a lot of guys with barbed wire tattoos who are watching their wives get like just whose pussies are being owned by another man
by a Del Curry type.
It's a real. Is his name Del or Delph?
Del Curry.
Del Curry,
an amazing player for the Hornets back in the day.
I tried to convince Rodell to go by Del. At some point back in the day,
as you should.
And he said it didn't work out, and I'm like, well, because you need friends to call you Del. You can't just go to people in your life and be like, call me Del now. Like, you need to actually get out there and mingle a little bit, and let people hear me, someone like me or you, people who have influence and charm, call you Del, and then it'll stick. But I think his life would be a lot better right now if he was if he went by Del.
Del is way cooler than Chew.
Oh yeah, there's a guy at my work whose name is Dell, and he's a manager. He's a top dog.
Sick.
Yeah, fucking real sick. I think it has a lot to do with that name.
You got to do the Giga Chad Dell, where the guy's like pointing, and then the who isn't there Giga Chad, and then like he's like pointing at the like guy, and it's like name's Dell. Manager at Kitty's office named Chew, and like the guy's like, wow, I'll send it to you.
Yeah, I'm sure that's going to go over real well for the audio listeners, which there are only audio listeners. All right, I'm forcing this into an MMA podcast. I'm sorry, we have to do it. We have to talk about boring ass MMA, but we had a fight night card this past weekend, and we're probably really only going to talk about the main event, main and co-main, because Edgison Barbosa deserves all the flowers too. Max Holloway defeats Arnold Allen via 5-round decision, and I don't know, it's a bit of a different kind of a Max Holloway performance than we're used to seeing, but it's actually like we've seen Max Holloway really have to, I wouldn't even say fight down, but kind of defend the throne a bit for a while now, since he's the definitive number 2 featherweight in the world, and he does it again against Arnold Allen, and he really reminds us that if Alexander Volkanovski didn't exist or moved to another weight division, Max Holloway is the uncrowned champion of this division, and he really made it look like it against Arnold Allen. Interestingly enough, I've heard a few people say that they were scoring it for Arnold Allen. Now, people in the media, not even like just randos or people in comment sections. But to be fair, I think that, I had it 4-1 for Max Holloway. I could give Arnold Allen the second round. And even
that's what exact same.
Yeah, and even with
he did very well in the 5th, but then Max was like, hey, stop.
Popped him, dropped him down to a knee, and I thought that was a knockdown. I counted that as maybe not a complete knockdown because he only dropped to a knee, but that was enough for him to steal the 5th round for me. Despite the fact that it was a 49-46 fight, though, still closer than that score would have you believe. Like, he was never really hurting Arnold Allen. He was just kind of reminding him that there's levels to this. And he came out and he fought southpaw. He showed him. And Max Holloway's never been a guy who hasn't like switched stances before, but he fought primarily out of the southpaw stance, and he really just shut down a lot of what Arnold Allen was bringing to the table, and never really let him get going. Tell me, what do you think about the fight, and were you expecting it to go the distance? Because I don't know if we really talked about that in our breakdown.
No, we did. I think I took it to go by. Yeah, I took it for a decision, or at least that's what I thought going into it. I think if we go back, I'm pretty sure.
Probably. I apologize for not remembering, but we've talked about the fact that I don't remember shit. So.
And it was like, this is going to be a good barometer of like where Max is at, and it's like, oh, okay, there he is. And it's like, for me, I saw it as like a Max is in the office kind of deal. Like, this is what he does. Man was taking fucking headshots, like fucking straight freaking leg kicks to the dome, and just like walking them off. And they were hitting him, and he admitted like, dang, this guy hits pretty hard, but you know, he gave a lot of respect to Arnold Allen. I thought Arnold Allen looked great. I think it doesn't change anything about where I guess more so it's more of like a confirmation that Max is still Max.
Yes.
And he's, you know, I think he's a money fighter now, like we said, because of the situation he's in. He's just not going to have, and if lightweight was different, maybe, I think things might be different for him, but just the way lightweight is, like, what are you gonna do? Or who are you gonna go fight? You're gonna go fight Mateusz Gamrot? You're gonna go fight Arman Tsarukyan, dude? Like, no, dude, sorry. Like, you're just not gonna. And those guys are like hanging around in like the edges of the top 10. Like, you know, I mean, I think he would have trouble with. So I really do think he's gonna go fight Conor. He said he's gonna fight Korean Zombie. You know, so I think that those are the types of fight he's going to have until something kind of, some of the guys in featherweight, you know, like Topuria moves up. And I think the Weasel mentioned something like that. So I don't want to totally steal what he said, but like, see what happens with like Movsar Evloev when he fights Bryce Mitchell, like what happens with those guys. But that's still a year or two away. So I think Max is going to take the Korean Zombie fights. He's going to take the, you know, hopefully he takes a Conor fight. You know, hopefully it's something. But as good as he looks, like, what's Conor got for him? You know, but as maybe being a size bully.
I fear that those two may be too far apart in weight at this point now. Yeah, because I mean, I would be pretty surprised if Conor ever went back down to lightweight, especially with his potentially chemically enhanced physique.
Potentially. Oh, speaking of that, though, and I don't want to go off track, but why we were apart. I was just looking at like MMA Reddit or news and stuff, and I saw that Adesanya and Pereira just didn't get tested throughout for their last pay-per-view. There was just no test. Like, nah, we believe you guys. That titty looks a little weird. Hey, but don't worry about it. You're good, dude. That jacket.
There's fights every weekend, and there's only so many USADA employees, man. So maybe they needed to test other folks. Maybe Carol Hossa needed to be tested ahead of this fight with Norma Dumont. Like,
Ooh, that's gonna be a good one.
No, it's not. Not even for guys like me. No, it's not.
Oh, man.
Like the second women's featherweight fight that we will be seeing this year.
I think Dumont's can kick the shit out of her. Let's just.
I think so. Yeah, I think so too. But anyways, back to this men's featherweight fight. Yeah. Been 10 years since 2013 since Max Holloway has lost to any other featherweight not named Alexander Volkanovski.
And
that was to Conor.
Breaks off of like who's really even been close.
Nothing. I mean,
I can't, not off the top of my. I'm sure there are guys, but I just can't off the top of my head.
He's looked great, man, and he's still doing it, and he's still young. Like we expect him to be fighting like his ring age, which is we know that he's been in a lot of wars. And like you mentioned, that chin's been tested a lot, but he's fighting like he's a 31-year-old. We see him growing as a fighter still, which is very impressive. You know, we mentioned, you know, he fought in Southpaw for most of this fight, so he's still able to make adjustments, and I think maybe he is adapting well to some of the limitations that he might be facing, and we can't really tell what those limitations are because he's forced to evolve to kind of like make up for those things. I don't know. That's just speculation on my part.
I felt like I totally think what you're saying as far as like limitations wise is valid, but I felt like he's not kicking it into a gear that he has because he doesn't want to. I felt he was just kind of like, I don't need to do anything other than what I'm doing here. Yeah. And there's really, I'm out. I kind of ran away and hid from this guy. I'm going to stand here and fight him because that's who I am. But at the same time, like, I felt like he just he could have kicked it up a notch or two. I felt like he had that in him if need be. And he's like, why am I going to empty the clip when I really don't have to? That's how it felt to me. But that's me as like a Max. Fuck, like, this guy's badass.
I completely agree. I think he wasn't throwing the kind of volume that we saw against Calvin Kattar and Brian Ortega, Yair Rodriguez. Like, this one was a little bit more of a measured approach. And yeah, I think that checks out. Like, he seemed like he was doing what, as much as he thought he needed to do to win this fight, and he did. And I think that's something that I've always admired in other fighters. And I don't mean to make it sound like Max Holloway completely changed his style in this fight, but I am always impressed by fighters who come out and look different. And this is one thing that I've done to give props to Alexander Volkanovski before in the past, is that we can look at Alex's his fight history and be like, well, he fought like this against this guy, but he's the guy who he does do that. Like, he completely changes. Like, he will granted, he's kind of gotten to a level now where he's just so good in every area that he can just be Alexander Volkanovski now. But I've always had adoration for fighters who will fight specifically to their opponent's weaknesses and be like, okay, well, I'm going to be this kind of fighter in this fight now because this guy sucks at this. And in MMA, that's a great thing to do, because there are so many. It's so hard to be this complete fighter. Yeah, just fight to your opponent's weakness.
Yeah.
I think that this is the best time for this to happen to Arnold Allen. I mean, it sounds weird to say that, for be like, oh, this is a good time for him to take a loss. But if you're going to take a loss, it should be before you go knock on the Alexander Volkanovski door. And I think that he's the type of fighter who could definitely grow from this, because I think going 5 rounds with Max Holloway is going to give him a lot of opportunity. There's going to be a lot of tape to go back and look at, and he's going to see, or hopefully his coaches will see, a lot of areas for improvement. And yeah, man, I think that this is not one that's going to break him mentally. No. When he got clipped and dropped in that 5th round, like, you could actually see.
And then Max walked up to him like, "Hey, bro, chill."
Yeah, and you could actually see how frustrated Arnold Allen was that he let that happen. It's like, fuck, I mean, he doesn't know that he's down on the cards at that point. He's just trying to win a fight. So knowing, like, fuck, the last thing the judges are going to see now was me getting clipped and dropping to a knee.
And the way UFC judges are, some of those motherfuckers, they're not even watching the fight till the end, and they're like, "What happened?"
Yes. So that's a kind of in-ring awareness that I think bodes well for Arnold Allen.
Yeah, definitely.
I think now to talk about a little bit of the rest of the featherweight division now. Who we have Ilia Topuria is about to fight Josh Emmett. I think that's in June or possibly late May. I'm not 100% sure. I don't think that they're going to make Ilia Topuria do much more if he beats Josh Emmett. If he beats Josh Emmett. But I gotta say, man, as much as I would love to see Ilia Topuria get a little bit fast tracked and get in there with Volkanovski, because I think he's that good. Like, I think it's an interesting fight. I would love to see Ilia fight Arnold Allen. Like, if they, if they put that match together, man, just on paper in a vacuum, it's like, hey, these two guys are fighting each other. Fucking sign me up, man.
It's what they're doing in the lightweight division. It's like they're making these killers at the end fight each other. Like, why not do it in the featherweight? Because fighting Max really is a title contender shot. Like, that, basically, for all intents and purposes, it's like, dude, can you beat him? You got the title, dude. Title shot, you got it. You're there. Which they don't do that to the guys in lightweight. Maybe lightweight's a little deeper. Featherweight isn't even bantamweight as far as depth wise. There's some really crazy prospects in featherweight, but Arnold Allen Topuria would be. I just feel like I would, because Arnold would be down to stand with Ilia. So like, it's like, I want to see that. I really want to, because he'd be in that pocket with someone who could just. I would just want to see that car accident.
And I mean, let's both say, what's the worst matchup they could make? 1, 2, 3, Topuria versus Holloway. Yeah,
right, dude. That would be, someone would die in that cage, bro. Yeah.
I don't.
Because Max would. Oh man, I just had that, like, dang, dude. Hopefully Max's kid wouldn't go to that.
And again, like
a mini blast, or what is it?
A mini blast?
Yeah, is he still go?
What do you mean?
Max's son, does he still go?
Oh yeah, I didn't see.
He was like a star
at this fight
for a while. He was like his own guy.
Yeah, I hope they don't make Topuria or Emmett. I should not just completely exclude Emmett. I hope they don't make either of them take the Max Holloway test, because at the end of the day, Volkanovski, he needs somebody to fight, and he's already chimed in. He tweeted like, "Hey man, stop fucking up my contenders." So he's aware, like, the Max Holloway is like the defender of the throne. And I'm not going to call him a gatekeeper at all. Like, some people have misused the term gatekeeper, and like, no, like a gatekeeper is the guy who is guarding the gate into the top 10 or the top 15 of the division. This guy is a defender of the throne. He is right there, right next to the fucking king, saying like, no, you got to fucking go through me to fight the king. But
yeah, I don't know if there's anything like it in sports where, you know, it's where there's just a team that's just so much better, and then there's a team that is obviously could be a champion if the other team didn't exist, and they're just beating the shit out of all the other teams before they get there. I don't know any other frame. You know, I don't watch outside of the more obvious sports, American sports. I don't know too much outside of that, but man, it's just such a crazy. It's not even like that in any other weight class. It's just such a weird. I guess in boxing there is. I'm sure you can find one, but I just don't. In MMA, I couldn't for the life of me figure that out. Like, it's such a weird situation to be in. All
right, let's move on to this co-main event. Edson Barboza really gets it done in round 1 with a KO with a knee.
That guy's my age. He looks amazing. He looks so jacked.
How? He's 37? I didn't know.
Yeah.
I mean, that doesn't surprise me. I still remember watching Edson's debut, his like first 2 fights in the UFC. His first fight, he got a finish.
Joe Rogan was just busting under the desk.
All over it. Finished via leg kick, dude. Like, his opponent couldn't even stand up. Like, when he showed up on the scene doing that, I was like, fuck.
It was like he was in there with a baseball bat at someone's knees. That's what it looked like. He was walking in with a baseball bat.
Newer fans probably know him more from like his fight with Shane Burgos, maybe. But Edson Barboza,
his face, like, for me too, his face when like Khabib got him down, and he's just like, what the fuck? Like, that was the real thing for me too when Khabib did that to him.
The desperation,
that face was just like, there's nothing I can do here.
Now for me, I mean, I was a little bit late on the Khabib train also, and that was the fight that made me be like, okay, Khabib's something special. And it really shouldn't have even been the fight, because it's like, okay, duh, this Russian fucking Dagestan wrestler against a pure striker, like, everybody should have seen that. But at the same time, though, there's not many other people who have made Edson Barboza make those faces, other than, like, I think Bryce Mitchell had him looking pretty fucking desperate. He wrestled, fucked him too. Yeah, man, Edson Barboza is a guy who they're going to march out there, and he's going to get fights as long as he wants fights. And he's had some rough patches, man. He's had some 3-fight losing streaks, plenty of 2-fight losing streaks. His stretch from 2017 to 2020, where he lost to Khabib, Kevin Lee, Justin Gaethje, Paul Felder, and Dan Ige. No shame in any of those losses.
Maybe Paul Felder.
Maybe a little bit in retrospect. But he had a nice
the fucking dragon, please.
Yeah, but he had a nice clean finish over Dan Hooker, wedged in there too. So that's nice. Yeah, man. I think this knee is up there with let's see, with the Evan Dunham. Oh, not Evan Dunham. Who's the other kid who got spinning back kicked? Terry Edom. This is going to be up there with the Terry Edom finish, in my opinion. There's some the Beneil Dariush flying knee, and he has some wins over like guys who are very impressive now too, like Beneil. Speaking of Beneil,
I have to hand over my heart, man. I took Billy Q to take the win. I thought Billy was going to get it done. I really like him. You think he's still got a good future, and no shame in losing that way.
No,
it happens.
No, and this is a case where Edson just made that read right away and figured it out. And I picked Billy Q too. I'm pretty sure I picked Billy Q.
I think we both did.
Yeah, I thought he was good. Like, Edson Barboza, I wouldn't say folds under pressure, but you kind of want to get in his face He's a guy who needs to kind of like set himself up to throw these like super crazy dynamic kicks and stuff like that. So we've kind of seen the blueprint to how to beat Edson Barboza.
You just made my thank you. Yeah, you just made my point. I was just gonna say like, the only reason I took Billy was, I guess if they didn't know each other and they were just like, but we knew who they were, I'd be like, oh, check this shit out. But I think because it's on tape what to do. Yeah. You know, for years now. So, and I mean, in all fairness, he was trying to do what was on tape. You know, he was trying for the takedown. Yeah. And he got caught. So good on our Barboza for knowing, like, dang, I'm going to time. I guarantee you he was like, dude, he's going to try and take you down. Like, where was that knee against Bryce Mitchell, dude? Come on, bro.
Yeah, Billy Q, he just didn't really do enough to hide it. He made it very obvious, right from the get-go. Like, I think he had died, like, you know, dove down twice for takedown attempts, and by then it's like that early into round one. I mean, Edson Barboza has he has no other choice than to be like, okay, you're trying to take me down, very obviously. So I'm gonna try and blast you with a knee, and it was just perfectly timed, man. And I mean, who can throw a knee better than that, dude?
Yeah, can't.
It was great. All right, now moving on to that concludes our recap of the main and co-main event for that UFC fight night, and that was the Kansas
Azamat,
City card.
Murzakanov, please, can we talk about Azamat? Murzakanov?
Let's talk about. Okay,
we have to, because we're not going to get to see him for a while. He broke his arm and still won.
Allegedly broke his arm. I didn't see where he broke his arm, man. Do you think that might have been something? Do you think that might have been something kind of lost in translation? Like maybe he broke his hand or something, and they maybe mistranslate. Because
good point. Hopefully, it was his hand and not his arm, because I think the arm would take a lot longer for him to heal, right?
Yeah, I would be inclined to say so, but I've never had a broken arm or anything. So
he is so good, dude.
Okay. I mean, he's very explosive.
Stop.
We've seen him. He's a little bit of he's kind of our meme fighter, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, we both stand for Azamat, but at the same time, I wasn't really expecting him to look this good. I was expecting him to be Dustin Jacoby. We both picked him for a reason.
Whoa, yes.
Dustin Jacoby.
He's definitely a Sambo fighter. If you watch him, he's a Sambo striker. And something that I didn't know about him, which I was surprised to learn from this dude, the fucking commentary team is terrible, dude.
I was watching mostly without commentary, so enlighten me, because I was at a friend's house, and so I was watching the fights on my phone and back and forth. So what were they saying, please?
In this, they're just like, Dustin Jacoby is, and they're like, wow, because Azamat had a good round, right? And I'm there like, yep, nice, yep, real nice. And then I was like, you know, and then they're like, wow, how is he doing this to a guy like Dustin Jacoby? And I was like, excuse me? And then I go, wait a minute. And they're like, oh, he's going to get, Dustin's got him right where he wants him. And then like in the second round, they're just like, yeah. And then Bisping is like, oh, well. And then by the third round, it was like, oh, fuck, who is this? And you can tell they're like getting handed shit. And so they're like, because there's no chance in hell that Michael Bisping knew that Murzakanov trained with Habib. He trained Habib's early camp, right? He's in a camp with like Habib and some other guys. I think Uncle Ive's other guys, like he's been in like this crazy ass camp, like a real well-known Slav fucking Viper pit, dude, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And so like I guarantee you, and then Bisping even like knew the name of it and shit. It's like, dude, you had no idea who the fuck what you're talking about. Some guy just handed you a fucking piece of paper and you're like trying to sound like you're awesome now. And then I think it was around maybe the time he got injured when he slowed down. They're like, oh, Jacoby's got him right where he wants him. It's all, and it's like, dude, you guys are so shitty. You guys are just like. And it doesn't take any, I mean, I get it. They're very busy. You know, they do so many shows. Bisping does so many different things. And, but it's just like, guys, like a quick, you know, and a quick fucking trip to YouTube while you're in bed, when you're not with your family,
You don't even have to have the fake eye in this, but you with your one eye. Like, come on.
Yeah, when you're it's just like, man. But like within the one fight, they were like, "Who the fuck's Azamat Murzakanov? Dustin Jacoby's a world beater. He's fucking absolutely amazing. One of the best kickboxers in the UFC." To Azamat Murzakanov, used to train at Habib's early gym. A lot of people didn't know that. Oh, he's a star on the rise. Look how amazing he is. He's so fucking powerful. Oh, Dustin Jacoby's gonna win this. Azamat better be careful. And it's like, you guys.
Meanwhile,
please,
Azamat made his career in kickboxing, fighting guys like Justin Jacoby. Like, so. Yeah, weird to hear that they were making this, like, we're popping off that hard for such a middle of the road guy like Dustin Jacoby.
Yeah, and when I say Sambo fighter, I mean, he's been trained by like Sambo guys, and he has the Sambo striking, like the looping and like the head kind of movement. It's like it's a very Eastern European style of striking. Yeah, I'll say that.
The old school, almost kind of a little bit like Fedor striking, not quite hooks. Yes. You want to call it looping punches, but they're not really looping either. They're awkwardly straight while looping, but neither of us are strikers. Clearly,
it's like a southpaw right. It's like a southpaw right that he has is fucking. It's crazy to look at, but it's like so effective. It's so effective. And then he comes back with that straight left over that looping right. It's like, whoa, that guy will kill somebody. Like a normal person that's not a fighter would die. They would die from that.
Azamat Murzakanov, he would just kill a killer of normal people.
Yeah, Azamat Murzakanov would definitely kill a normal human being.
All right. He got it done. All right. This. Since you shoehorned in one of your other fights that you wanted to talk about from this card, I will touch on this very quickly because I mentioned her.
Please.
Bruna Brazil. She gets finished in round 2 to Denise Gomez. I want to say Denise, but I keep hearing everybody call her Denise Gomez. I guess it's a Brazilian thing. Both girls coming off of Dana White's Contender series. I'm almost forgetting what the fucking show is called. Very, very sad. I was really pulling for Bruna Brazil in this one, although admittedly Denise Gomez wasn't on my radar coming into this fight. I didn't really know anything about her, but she's just coming off the Contender series too. I can't know about all of them, even though I'm into WMMA, and they can't all sit on my face, you know what I'm saying? So I'll be watching Denise Gomez's all of her future fights moving forward, though. That was a really, really impressive. She really, really took it to Bruna Brazil. Did exactly what I thought Bruna was going to do to Bruna. And just showed a killer instinct at strawweight that I'm always delighted to see. And I think that it just kind of goes to show, like, there's levels to it all across the board, because Bruna Brazil made Marnik Man look like a fucking amateur, and then Denise Gomez came in and did exactly that to her. I'm always just excited when I see finishes on top of finishes in WMMA. So yeah, don't miss either of these girls' future fights for sure. This is one that I missed most of this card, but I tuned into to this one, and it delivered, even though the girl I was pulling for came up on the wrong end of it. But yeah,
these are my favorite situations in MMA, because like we've talked about before, like the Jack Della Magdalena's types, the for me it's like Alexandre Pantoja. You see like their rise in like a fight night card when they're down the card, and then you see them just kind of turn into these fucking monsters. And Jasmine Lucindo, who we're gonna talk, or we might talk about, is on this card, and she's one of those too. So it's amazing. This is what I like the most about it, because then I can be smug as fuck when I'm sitting down with like people who don't really watch all the time, and then they're just eating chips and dip, and I'm like, hey, check this person out, and then I can like tell them like they do this, and then like nothing feels better than you kind of like fill them in on it, and then the fucking commentators are like late and like kind of like say the exact thing you just said word for word, and then everyone kind of looks at you and you're like,
give them the side eye.
And then I go and eat the dip, and I'm like, okay, my turn for dip now.
Kick your feet up. I'm basically Joe Rogan, guys.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, he's fallen off. He's he's to this whole, he has his own comedy place now in Austin, and
Place and time, dude. Place and time. You put me in a room with Red Band in 2008, and I'd basically, I would have $100 million.
I would have fired Red Band for saying Olive Garden all the time too. So
that's a deep cut. I don't even know what you're talking about.
That is a very deep one, guys. I'm very weird.
And actually, to your point though about what you were saying about like people who just would take the time to watch some of these fights. I like I said, I was pulling for Bruna Brazil. I was excited about her as a prospect, but I don't get bent out of shape when these prospect fighters that I get interested lose, especially when they lose to someone in an impressive way. Well, I should say when their opponent beats them in an impressive way, because now I'm like, oh, what's up, Denise Gomez? Like, that's how you should look at it. Like, you don't just got to jump off of somebody's bandwagon and be like, oh, fuck it all now. Like, you got to just kind of like watch as how things progress and kind of like if somebody beats the fighter you're pulling for, tune into that fighter's next fight. Yes. There might be something special. There's a reason for that.
That's another great point about it too, is like I think a guy like that for me was like Khalil Roundtree when I can't remember the exact fight, but like he beat the shit out of someone. I was like, I can't wait to see this guy. And then Khalil came out and just fucking dominated. And I was like, wow, I'm going to watch Khalil Roundtree from now on. You know, it's that's what makes this fucking this sport so cool, is you can do things like that, and you don't have to just be beholden to like one team or whatever. You know,
was it his loss to Iwan Kutalaba?
No.
Oh, okay. Because I was gonna say
I can't remember. Did you pull up Khalil Roundtree's fucking? Let's just pull it up, and then I can probably.
Okay, because I'm trying to think. Okay, who did he have Okay, he lost to Tyson Pedro by rear naked choke in 2016, and then he came back and had an impressive win over Daniel Jolly in round 1 by knees in 52 seconds. So.
Damn. No, I'm drawing a blank, man.
That's okay.
I just remember it being like something along that wavelength of like, okay, I took the time, watched down the card. Probably should have been like rolling around playing with toys with my kids, but I was watching the curtain jerker on fucking.
I love when you make me question our life choices. Like, here we are. We're talking about these curtain jerkers too.
Hey, later, bud. Huh? Later.
Yeah, practice those
23
teeps.
subscribers now.
Practice those teeps, me, huh?
Yeah. Hey, I bought you that dummy. Go to the room, please.
Okay, well, let's move on over to cover this heavyweight main event.
Are you a Mija guy?
I mean, I don't have any kids, but I suppose I would be a Mija guy.
Okay.
Yeah, I would call my nieces Mija once in a while. Yeah.
Yeah,
it does kind of feel forced, though. I don't know if it comes out naturally.
It does feel forced.
Yeah, but I know that's what you were supposed to say, though. You know.
Yeah, it's like yeah. Mm-hmm. You just didn't strike me as a mijo guy, but
I mean, I'm trying. Now you got me wondering, like, what I would say if I wasn't forcing it per se.
Yeah.
I don't know if fucktard would go off very well or roll off the tongue well, but.
Yeah.
I mean, it would come out of me very naturally, but I wouldn't want it to. All right. I keep refreshing my iPad. I use Sidecar with my iPad, so it works as my second screen, and it is just unreliable as all fuck, dude. It'll work for like 2 minutes.
What was it that we were going to use? That's not what we were going to use, right? That one that was like a board that kind of was like a look at what. What was that? Remember?
That was a Fig Jam. It's a program called Figma that I would use for my UI designing, and it's like a digital whiteboard where we could just drop anything on there. So that's where I was like, okay, I'm gonna put the fighters' records on there. That's when
you're real Elon Musk in it, huh?
Yeah, and then we didn't really use it. It's fun if everybody's on like. Well, it has access to it at all times, like, because you could even go in there at your own time and be like, drop this image in there or this
screenshot
of this article or something for reference. It's a good place to kind of like
would just
put
be
our
a
notes
ton
together.
Of shit about the communist Chinese. You would get really mad. You'd just be like, okay, dude, check out Alex Jones from yesterday's InfoWars. Pretty thick the second hour.
Like how you do the list.
Be a lot of that.
Oh dear God. All right. Sergey Pavlovich, a heavyweight fighter. Straight, it's like if you took a trip back to 2004 and you found a fucking heavyweight and you brought him into present day, and he's just still doing it with exactly the same kind of skill set that you would need to really like flourish in the heavyweight division back then. This guy is exactly that. He's a one-trick pony. He does that trick extremely well, extremely fucking well. I'm giving him his props. But what else have we seen him do?
You're kind of.
I'm aware.
You got one arm on the side, and you're kind of swimming towards the deep end, dude.
This is a man that Brandon has picked. This is the man.
Will be.
Brandon's predicting to be the heavyweight champion.
He knocks out Curtis Blades this weekend. John Jones beats Stipe Miocic and retires. Who the fuck is going to be there? Aspinall's not walking through that door anytime soon.
I like how carefully and how skillfully you managed to propose all that without using the word if. You're just like, consider this. He knocks out Curtis Blades.
Well, I'm on the record of saying what I said, dog. There's no going back.
I just wanted to remind the listeners. That's all.
And any little bit of me like, this may, you'd be like, oh, but you said he would. Mm-hmm. No. I'm on the train. It's a train in the United States, so the tracks are very shitty, and it's probably going to derail. Mm-hmm. But
they only moves chemicals. Yeah. It only moves chemicals and other train parts in case the train breaks down. Yeah. So that's a very good description of a U.S. train system.
I am on this train. I am on the Sergey Pavlovich train, and I am delusional, and I am going to ride it until it goes off into a Midwestern town that everyone will forget about once it serves a political purpose.
Well, Dag. Here's the thing. I think that even less might potentially have to happen for your prediction to come to fruition. I still think he has a very, very big hurdle to jump in Curtis Blades.
That's very brave. And, let's just tell a story. You're going to start crying. I know you're going to start crying, so I try to get in the way. Because once you start talking about old Kurt, dog, you get that cry. I mean, I don't even want to show you Curtis's tattoo right now, because I know that would just get you right where in the heart there.
Okay, no act. I don't know what tattoo you're talking about.
Oh shit. Okay. Well, this is going to be shitty for the readers, the listeners, but
our listeners can't read.
Oh shit. Let's see. You have not seen anybody that's listening right now. Please look at Curtis Blade's tattoo. It's a blade.
Oh,
it's a razor blade on his arm.
I did see that. I forgot all about that. Oh my god. Yeah, that's a horrible tattoo. The switchblade on his elbow, like so that when he folds it, Oh, it's so bad.
It's like having Mario, but it's like Mario's fist.
It's like having a tattoo on your dick of a bigger dick.
Well, full disclosure, I have my wife tattooed on me on my chest, but she's wearing a sombrero, and but my titty
making tortillas.
No, my titty is her titty. Like they did it so that it's like it works out that way. So like my right titty's her titty, and it's gotten bigger and smaller, and it's a little hairy, but I still love her very much.
I'm gonna need you to take the ball and go with after that. Curtis Blades, yeah, he has a really, really, really bad tattoo. I don't think it's gonna.
And a worse lisp, if you could believe it.
Yeah, you had to go there. You had to go there with our beloved Curtis Blades.
No, I will never get over it.
Precious, amazing, always fighting an uphill battle, Curtis Blades, because
you were sending me like paragraphs about like he was bullied and he and it was just like, dang. And then I remember you talked about it I was like listening to you on one of our early pods, and it's like a lot of people don't realize it. And then, but he does have a speech impediment, and he touched on it in the post fight, and it's got to be hard. I'm just like, what?
I never once shed a tear about his speech impediment.
No,
but I did say
you're very good at holding it.
I did say I'm incredible at holding it. I'm incredible at letting it out too. I think I would be a fine actor. I know exactly how to make myself cry. I think you
would too. I do think you would be too.
I was saying that I think it's tough because Curtis. I was saying it's tough because people think Curtis Blades' lisp was because of how bad he got knocked out by Derek Lewis, and I thought that was fucking cold. So yeah, I didn't like
just picked up on that, dude. I'm a piece of shit.
Also, Curtis
pick up on anything and just completely turn it into a joke.
Also, Curtis Blades is a precious, amazing person, and it's fucked up that people make fun of his lisp because people got speech impediments here.
And his early haircut was wild. Somebody, if you're listening, Google Curtis Blades back in the day. Like, his haircut was crazy. His sideburns, something else.
Yeah, and dude, and fucking what's under the beard too? Dude's got a superhero chin. I don't know why he's got this raggedy ass fucking beard. If I
know why I have a chin, because I don't want. I know why. I mean, I don't have a chin. I know why I have a beard.
Yeah, I mean,
hide it.
Yeah, to kind of come out so it doesn't sound like I'm just this ultimate like fucking Curtis Blades fanboy. I'm not. Yeah. So I'll go out of my way to shit on him a little bit. Like, dude, lose the fucking beard, guy. You look fucking homeless. But despite that, I think this homeless looking guy is going to beat the fucking brakes off of Sergey Pavlovich, man. I think it's a fight. Okay. To be fair, it's a fight. It's going to go one of two ways. It's going to stay on the feet. Sergey's going to stuff one, maybe two takedowns, and people are going to be like, oh shit. Or Curtis Blades is going to take him down, and by round 3, Sergey Pavlovich is going to be fucking completely gassed.
This is why we do the podcast. This is why. That's why, because we're never really far off from each other. I'm so far off of what. I mean, I rewatched Blades against Rosenstrike, and it was like, what the fuck? I thought he really beat the shit. I thought he beat Rosenstrike a lot worse than he did, and our guy Biggie Boy actually gave him some problems. Not enough to where it made any difference on the scorecards, but he gave him some problems. And I guess who did Blades like kick the shit out of really lately was Dawkins. What has Chris Dawkins really done?
Yeah,
I'm doing like MMA math.
True. But the thing is,
what have we
he's
seen?
Fighting who's there. This is a guy who's been like, especially once he lost to Derek Lewis. Dana White, the bald man, or the bald people in general, have not given Curtis Blades any opportunity to get back into contendership. These are the guys he's had to fight. It's not like he's calling out, like saying, give me the Chris Dawkins of the division. So he's fighting who he had to fight, and he put Chris Dawkins away in round 2, man. He got it done. He didn't go to a decision with Chris Dawkins. And I think, okay, now I mentioned this fight go one of two ways. Here's the thing. If it stays on the feet, I think, yeah, it's definitely going to favor Sergey Pavlovich, but I think Curtis Blades has a lot better of a shot than people are giving him credit for. Versus if it does go to the ground, I think Curtis Blades is going to be a fish out of water. He doesn't stand a chance. Now if it stays, excuse me, Pavlovich, yeah, because I think that we didn't really get to see it so much in that Tom Aspinall fight because Tom Aspinall's knee fucking exploded in 15 seconds. So there's not a whole lot we can draw from that.
That really could have been because I do think Curtis Blades is extremely talented. I think he's a great fighter. He's very well equipped for what we've seen in the, like you said, when you like kind of side diss Sergey Pavlovich before, like, oh, you want to take a guy from previous generation heavyweight, and then this is who he is. He's definitely the guy that would beat that for sure. Curtis Blades is like an outlier outside of John Jones, but like no one's John Jones.
Yeah.
Even Stipe, I think he's a little more on par. He's not as good a striker as Stipe, but he's probably a better wrestler.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, and I think Curtis is, and he's still relative. He's very. I should say this. He's still very young for heavyweight. He's 32, which by heavyweight age standards, like he's a spring chicken basically.
Yeah.
So I think we're seeing his stand up get better, and even in that horrible knockout loss to Derek Lewis, I think that ironically, if it would have stayed on the feet, he would have done well against Derek Lewis. He was beating him on the feet, and I gave him that first round. I rewatched that one again recently, and it wasn't until he decided to change levels where Derek Lewis was ready for that. It's like that's all Derek Lewis was training for. He was just waiting for this guy to shoot a double so he could fucking uppercut him into oblivion, and that's how that went. I do think that one of the most interesting aspects of this fight is that we've seen that Curtis Blaydes can be put out. It's happened against Derek Lewis. It's happened twice against Francis Ngannou. Aside from those fights, he has perfect. But
put the fuck out.
Yeah.
You want to talk about kicking the shit out of normal people?
Yeah, good point. But it's like, I mean, like you called it a side diss, but Sergey Pavlovich is that guy. Like he's cut from that same cloth. You know, we're talking about the Francis Ngannous.
I think you'd be surprised, B.
I think you'd
be surprised, B.
We're talking about the Francis Ngannous, the Derek Lewises, and stuff like. Sergey Pavlovich is just the archetype of a heavyweight that we're talking about. It's like he's not bringing a whole ton else to the table, but he has at least enough cardio as he needs to do what he needs to do within the first or second round.
And one of the wilder reaches on planet Earth. The man is a fucking condor, dude, and it does not make sense.
He has an 84-inch reach to Curtis Blaydes' 80-inch reach, and he's a shorter man by 1 inch. Ape index, baby.
4-inch reach advantage is at heavyweight is crazy.
And he's younger. He's 2 years younger. He's 30 years to Curtis Blaydes is 32 years. And he's currently 17-1, with that one loss being to Alistair Overeem. And how did Overeem get that done?
And it was in his debut.
It was in his UFC debut, not his MMA debut. But.
Your UFC debut against Alistair Overeem. That's and that was when it wasn't quite Ubereem, but it was a good version of Alistair Overeem. Who's in it? I sent you that tape of Overeem grappling, and that guy is at that, but a different guy, different part in his life, but he's very good at it.
Underrated grappler is Alistair.
He's a very good grappler over Alistair Overeem.
Yeah. So, I mean, we've given about as much of the technical breakdown as we can, which are never really that technical because we ain't fighters, but I think we know where we stand on this one. I'm picking Curtis Blaydes. You're sticking with Sergey Pavlovich.
Absolutely, up until he's the world champ. Up until he's the world champ.
If John goes and fights Stipe later this year, you could be one punch away from being right on that prediction. Because if John beats Stipe and says, that's it, I'm out, I just wanted to come and get these couple fights in at heavyweight and retires, which I think is actually the most likely scenario. We've talked about whether or not Curtis Blaydes or a guy like Sergey Pavlovich do enough promotional heavy lifting to keep John around and want to keep fighting in this heavyweight division. I don't think so. I think John is dead set on cementing his legacy and getting the fuck out. So if that happens, and then Pavlovich,
he really just wants to beat the guy that beat the shit out of he wants to end the career of the guy that ended DC's career.
I never thought about that. That's a good point. Yeah, I could see that being a big motivating factor for him also. So if he goes away after that, and then after, like, what's left after Sergey and Blaydes? There's Gone, I guess,
Spivak.
But you're not going to Spivak, and Tom Aspinall should be coming back later on this year. I think that if the UFC
The baby goat, Jalton Almeida.
he still has a few fights to prove.
He's got a long ways to go.
He's the dark horse of the division for sure, but I don't think he's going to be thrown into an interim title fight or a title fight for the vacant title anytime soon. But if Sergey Pavlovich gets it done and just sleeps Curtis Blades this weekend in a super impressive way, and coincidentally, John Jones steps away from the sport. I like how we're just assuming John's going to beat Stipe, by the way. But let's say John wins and steps away and the title is vacant. What fight do you make? Do you just give... this really should be for an interim title. I think that they should have the foresight to decide, like, hey, Pavlovich and Blades... this is going to be for an interim title. I think this is a totally deserving fight for that, because they're the top of the heavyweight division. They're number 3 and number 4. They're both 7. Let me see what their records are. I had it open just now. It's like 17-1 to 17-3.
Right.
I think that's it until Tommy Aspinall comes back, or like you mentioned, Jalton Almeida does a little bit more to kind of throw his name in the mix. I think this is the fight. And it's kind of funny because it is just such a heavyweight fight. Oh, I didn't ask you, though. Does this being 5 rounds versus 3 rounds make any difference to you in the pick?
It does. I would probably give it to Blades.
If it goes the distance, yeah. It's hard to imagine, because we really need to see what Pavlovich looks like in those later rounds. That's going to be pretty fascinating if he makes it that far. But, yeah, we'll see how it goes. All right, man. Well, did you want to touch on anything else from this card? Anything from the rest of the main card, or do you want to call it?
No, we could call it. Like I said, like Yasmin Yusindo, I'm excited to see her fight. That's pretty much it. I mean, the co-main's not bad, right? So let's see here. Let's pull it up. You're gonna mention something that I might be. Go ahead.
Bobby Green's getting in there to do it with Jared Gordon. Sorry for being late on my screen keeps freezing, but yeah, Bobby Green. This apparently going to be his retirement fight against Jared Gordon. He showed up with $60,000 in cash to media day to talk to the press. I don't know why or what stunt he's pulling, but kind of weird. I didn't know that he was on his way out like that. I wouldn't normally pick Jared Gordon against Bobby Green, and I'm still not, but I'm always a little bit trepidatious when I don't even know if that's a word, but I always worry a little bit when a guy announces that it's going to be his retirement fight, and I don't necessarily know if he should be retiring yet, or if we know going into it that he's got one foot out the door. I think that just kind of gives Jared Gordon a little bit more room to work potentially. But
yeah, this card really could have used the Sonya Dong Ricky Simone.
Really shame that one got moved.
Yeah.
Let's see what that card is looking like that it got moved to, because I know that card also needed some fucking help. But
yeah, it sure did.
Let's see Fight Night, that got moved to the Song Simon. Oh, that one got moved.
The 29th, right? It's like basically a week, right?
Oh yeah, it was gonna be headlined by Caio Borralho versus Michal. I always forget how to pronounce this guy's first name. Jacek, Cody Brundage, Rodolfo Vieira, Emily Ducote, Pauliana Viana. Yeah, this is gonna be a rough hang.
It's a rough one, yeah.
Yeah. Another thing I didn't mention though, because this card that we were talking about, I mean, evident by the fact that we're really only talking about the main event for this one. Yeah. This is not also a super stacked card. I don't know if Dana White is even going to be there because it's this card. But I'm also going to predict that if Curtis Blades gets it done in the way that I think he's going to do it, even if it's fully one-way traffic, Dana White's going to find a way to go out there and shit all over Curtis Blades, and just talking. He's gonna step up to the microphone if he's gonna be there. He'll step up to the microphone and he will talk about how dare Curtis Blades win under the MMA unified rules, and just I don't see him not trying to bury him, but we'll see. It depends on how boring it is. Just Curtis Blades, if he gets a decision, they're not going to be considering him for any kind of a title fight. That's the sad truth, apparently. But That's my prediction.
No, that makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense, man.
All right, man. Well, another fun episode in the books. I will keep digging around my computer to see if I could find that lost 30 minutes of content, the Sacramento Kings content. But good luck to your Kings this Thursday.
They need it, man.
They'll be up 3 if they win on Thursday, right? Which I think they're favored now if Draymond doesn't. Well, he's not going to play. He's going to be suspended for Game 3. So that'll be pretty fascinating if they get the sweep. Who are they going to be potentially playing after this series?
I don't know. I think it could be this. Let's see. I don't know off the top of my head, man. It's just one game at a time, dude. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. Enough.
I'm already like getting all like antsy even thinking about that, man.
Well, folks, thank you for joining us once again for another episode of the Fight Plug podcast. If you liked this episode, please consider liking and subscribing and all of that jazz so that you don't miss any of our future episodes. And once again, because I've been forgetting to put it, I'm going to leave a link to my nephew's GoFundMe again in the description.
Yes,
so if anybody wants to donate to that, please, it would be much appreciated. Until then, we will see you on...
Also, do yourself a favor and look up, has Michael Jordan ever broken anyone's face? Has he ever punched anyone in the face and broke their face before because they're such a smarmy fuck? You think that's ever happened?
Listeners, Google that and let us know what you find out in the comments. Please comment. Let us know if Michael Jordan's ever broken anyone's face. Be as candid and as descriptive as you need. We want to know. We need the answers. Because I, as the host of this show, I don't know the answer to what Brandon is laying down right now. So let me know in the comments, please. All right, folks. All right, have a good one.
No, the coach of the Golden State Warriors, have you ever seen this guy? He's just a smarmy fuck, dude. And Michael Jordan one day in practice just fucking broke old boy's orbital. It's just like, and they were teammates. He's just like, dude, fuck you. Like fucking broke the dude's orbital, dude.
Damn. Was it very, I mean, it had to be pretty intentional. You don't accidentally break a guy's orbital.
No, it was on purpose. It was like, hey, come here. Fuck you. Don't talk to me that way.
Oh, so he didn't even, it wasn't even like during play.
It was straight up punch
to
the face.
Damn.
No, it wasn't baited. It was like, okay, I just played 36 holes of golf. I got 3 whores waiting for me. I'm like 10 Coors Lights deep into my day.
I may or may not be currently rocking a Hitler mustache.
Yeah.
Was it during his Hitler mustache phase?
No, my dad. No, but my dad may have died because of the Italian mafia. I owe the Italian mafia money. I'm not gonna sit here and fucking listen to this fuck chirp me in fucking practice. And he just broke the dude's orbital, and he had to wear like that old school Batman mask. Like, and they're like, "Why are you wearing that mask, Steve?" Answer the question, Steve.
A super athlete punched me in the face. A fucking goat. Because I'm completely out of touch with this, and you know how I am about conspiracy theory and all that.
No,
stuff.
It's not. It's
realistic.
It's well known.
No. I'm not talking about the punch. I'm talking about the little tidbit that you mentioned about his dad, and because he owed money to the mob.
Because Michael Jordan did, because he did owe the mob money. He told multiple banks and offshore bettors that, suck my dick, I'm Michael Jordan, I'm not paying you. Because his dad died with a $40,000 watch in an $80,000 car with $6,000 worth of cash in his wallet on him still.
And they didn't take any of it?
Didn't take any of it, and got shot face down and was left face down in a ditch.
See, I only
and
know.
They said it was a robbery, and then there was like a whole crazy ass fucking investigation into it. And the NBA goes, "Hey, Mike, why don't do you like baseball?" And he's like, "No." He's like, "Why don't you play baseball for a year? Let us kind of think, dude. If it would happen nowadays, with like the way the media is now, no chance that doesn't get out. But because it was like 90s media, so Michael Jordan went and played baseball. The NBA kind of got some fucking like people on it, kind of cleaned their tracks up, kind of cleaned the story out, and then Mike came back.
They did a very good job cleaning that story up, because of me, as someone who's wasn't a basketball fan, I wasn't watching Jordan in the 90s or anything like that. My understanding or my knowledge of that whole thing came from a Michael Jordan made for TV movie where they made it look like his dad died when he was a kid. So I just assumed that was the truth. I didn't know that he died when Michael Jordan was already older and playing basketball and was old enough to be in debt to the mob. I was not. Yeah.
No, Mike had already won. He had already won three championships at that point.
Wow, you just can't believe what you see on TV anymore, can
They
you?
do that shit on purpose.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah,
That's me fully admitting. They told
he
him.
owed a lot of money. He's still like Charles Barkley to this day too isn't allowed in a lot of casinos. Charles Barkley wanted to run for like some type of government office, and then like these casinos and like these interest groups are these people that like send him money for his gambling debts. We're like, no, you're not. And then he's like, no, I'm not. Like straight up, dude. He was gonna be like a governor of Alabama, and they're like, dude, you owe us millions, and you told us to suck your dick for it. They used to say that Michael Jordan would like fly and go play in like backdoor card games, and the Bulls had his own plane. And he would fly and play in like these like high stakes card games. And if he lost, he just said, fuck you, I'm Michael Jordan. What are you going to do? You're going to kill me? I'm Michael Jordan. They're like, okay, Mike, fair enough. And then all of a sudden his dad got off. His dad had like a wad of cash that could choke a fucking elephant. And they didn't take it.
Why did I let you go? Why did I let you go?
Dude, I'm not even kidding you. Dude, look it up. He had a fucking watch that was worth more than the house I grew up in. He was driving an $80,000 Lexus, and they said he got carjacked and it was a failed robbery attempt. Dude, he got shot and
they failed, but succeeded in killing the guy, and it failed to take all of his stuff.
Shot in the face and left face down in a fucking like halfway full ditch. And like they made a fucking example out of his dad.
It's a damn shame. This is the like after post show content that we really should be saving for like a Patreon or something, or like some exclusive content, because you are like a wind up fucking something. I don't want to call you a doll because it's kind of gay. No,
I do. No. But like it's for sure like podcast shit though. I have like a podcast mind. For whatever reason, I can just talk. You know what I'm saying?
I want that as a sound drop. I have a podcast mind.
Yeah, dude, I'm podcast brain, dude. I'm full of knowledge that serves nothing. It serves absolutely nothing.
That's why we're doing it. Yeah,
telling a story, but
we're certainly not doing it for the money.
Think about it, dude.
Yeah,
think about it. Like he was at that point in his life, the most influential, the richest, the most famous person on the planet. Like you can go into there's videos, you can go into Africa and they would show them phones, they would show them all these things, and they had no idea what it was. And then they would show them a Jumpman logo. They're like, that's Michael Jordan. Like that's how crazy he was. That's not even a joke. There's videos of that. Like, that's Michael Jordan. Why would you just quit? And you had won 3 straight championships and you just quit in the middle to play baseball? Why? And it was like this huge story. Like he plays baseball. Now he's playing baseball. He loved baseball. My dad really wanted me to play baseball. So then it turned into like, I love my dad because he wanted me to play. So everyone's talking about baseball. Not, dude, you owe so much fucking money to all these fucking people. And it was a mafia hit, dude. Crazy.
Michael Jordan.
Dude, it's a well-known fact, dude.
I'm not even laughing at the conspiracy theory or anything like that. Or I'm not even refuting it. I didn't know anything about it, so I can't even be like, no, that's not. Show me sort. I don't give a shit. I'm just laughing at where it went. I was so close to ending this show, dude. And you're just like, by the way, Google what happened to Michael Jordan's dad, or Google if Michael Jordan ever broke someone's face.
Yeah, Google it.
Jesus Christ, Brandon. That was fucking funny.
Steve Kerr cried in a fucking interview talking about it, like so sad, like maybe I should have gone away, maybe I should have. What did I say? It's just like, you're a bitch, dude. Please.
I don't know how to close it out after I've already said my bit. So I think this is gonna be like a fade out one. I'm just gonna
you've been recording the whole time?
Oh yeah, no, I didn't stop yet because I was literally I
did not think you're recording.
Yeah, I was literally like and subscribe and donate to my nephew's GoFundMe and blah 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 and have a good. And you're like, why? One more thing.
Yeah, no, I just like doing it like that. I just like doing that shit. It's
no,
fun.
I think I'm gonna pick like the perfect little magical spot of your like whole thing and just do like a clean fade out, and then, like you're gonna be fading out and the outro music's gonna be fading in. Maybe if I fill up to it. If I don't, fine. I don't.
But you recorded the whole Michael Jordan's dad.
I'm still recording. Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. That's cool. Look it up, guys. Please. I mean, don't take this schmuck fucking piece of shit's word for it, guys. Don't take my word for it. It's all out there.
All right, that concludes another episode of the Fight Plug podcast, folks. Have a good.
Jesus Christ! I did not know you were recording.
Have a good one.
Google it.